to be able to just kind of help get out and educate. So we love these opportunities and being able to partner with you. And I know Elsa wants to say a little something, so I'm going to slide the computer over to Elsa for just a moment.
Hi, everybody. I'm Elsa White. If you don't recognize me or know me, I'm the county treasurer. And like Samantha said, I'm really excited to be able to do this class. We did do a fraud class last fall. We had a really good attendance. We are going to continue to try to have more classes for everybody. But this class is going to be in regards to tax sale. This gives you the opportunity to maybe invest some money, maybe for a better return than what the banks are going to give you, or possibly even attaining some property. So there's going to be a lot of information here today. Feel free to call our office if you have any questions. But I'll just take a quick moment to say thank you very much to the Ruby Citizen Library and Brad for partnering up with us and putting it out in their newsletter, excuse me, to some of their members. Also to Mary Jo Coulihan and the Pagosa Springs Chamber. She also did some advertising for us to her members, and hopefully some of her members are here. Especially to all the participants that are in our class tonight. If you have any questions, please give us a call. We'll be glad to answer any questions we can. And without any further ado, Samantha's going to do the presentation. I'll keep notes, and any questions you guys have, I will ask during the class. Okay? Thank you, guys.
All right. So we are going to screen share. Takes me just a second. All right. Is everybody looking at something that says Archuleta County tax lien sale? You can nod your heads, or
yes,
you can write yes in the comments.
I know some people are joining us just by phone. So for them, okay, we will have this recording available later. Otherwise, you'll just be able to listen for those that are just joining by phone.
Perfect. So I'll try to describe as we're going for those that are by phone only. So first, again, just to piggyback off of Elsa, thank you everybody for being here. I do see a hand go up.
Let me
unmute.
Give me a minute. Okay, here's a question.
Are we good?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Can we ask questions via the message box in the Zoom window and have them answered by you at a more convenient time rather than interrupting?
Absolutely. So we're going to do both. Right now, Elsa is going to be monitoring our chat. So if you have a question, definitely write it down in the chat and we'll either address it now or we'll be able to get back to you with an answer if we don't have one.
That's excellent.
So yes, please utilize that chat feature, or feel free to, you know, not necessarily interrupt, but break in and ask questions. I do a lot of trainings based off of participation. So the more that you all participate, the better the training and the instruction is. So I encourage group participation.
Good.
All right.
Great. Okay.
Thank you. So the first thing I do want to go over is our disclosure. So this is intended as an educational session to help you learn about tax liens. It is up to you to do your research and decide if tax liens are right for you. We are not providing any investment or legal advice. That's very important. We are not to blame. All right. We are here to educate and maybe entertain just a little bit. So the first thing is Elsa is monitoring our comments. So just as we mentioned, feel free to ask questions. If you're not sure how to get to your comments, at the bottom of your screen, sometimes it's to the side, there's going to be a little chat icon, and you can click on that once to open it and click on it a second time to close it up if you don't want it to be in the way. All right. The next thing is we do ask that you keep yourselves muted unless you're asking a question. To mute or unmute yourself, if you hover your cursor over your picture, there should be a little microphone and you can click that to mute or unmute. And then please be patient with us and all of our fellow learners, as Zoom is still kind of new for most of us. We're used to the in-person. So just be patient and we'll all learn together and have a lot of fun, which was last one. Have fun and participate. All right. So today we're going to be covering just kind of a quick outline. We're going to cover why we do tax liens, why are they important to the county, what is the difference between a tax lien and a treasurer's deed, because both are going to be important to this process. Then we're going to cover the rules of the auction so that we understand what we're getting into. We're going to take some time to navigate the archuleta.colorado.taxsale.com, and then what to expect on the day of the auction, what to do if you win. And then we partner with Real Auction. We do all of our tax lien sales online. And so Real Auction also hosts some really good training sessions. And so I'll have information if you want to dive even deeper that they provide. And then last but not least, we have swag. So originally when we scheduled this, it was going to be in person, but COVID kind of put a stop to that. So we'll talk about how you can get your cool gifts if you're so inclined. So the first question I'm going to ask is, why do we do tax liens? So to answer that, we look at where does our property tax money go? And if you've ever looked at a property tax bill, towards the top is a section, and it's going to list out our taxing authorities. And that's everybody that the county is collecting money for. And it actually breaks down how much money they actually get from your tax bill. So those funds are then used to provide the services within the community or within the county. A great example of that is the library. I like to visualize my entire tax bill go straight to the library because that's who I love the most. So the library then has the funds to host educational programs, just like this one. So why do we do the tax lien sales? So if somebody is unable or unwilling to pay their property taxes, then all of those different taxing authorities will not have the funding they need to continue providing services. And I look at it, if we don't pay the taxes or collect and distribute taxes, then the hospital may not have funding. The library was not able to buy all the new books that I like to read. There's no funds for educational programs. So we can see those funds in action. So a tax lien allows us to collect the funds from an investor and be able to pay that to the taxing authorities. So before I jump into tax lien versus treasurers, does that make sense? Any questions? I'm going to give it to the count of 1, 2, 3, and we'll move in. All right. So tax liens versus treasurer's deeds. We get a lot of questions, and the first one is, what is an actual tax lien? A tax lien is a lien imposed by law upon a property to secure the payment of taxes. A tax lien may be imposed for delinquent taxes owed on real property or on personal property. So in Archuleta County, we only do tax liens on real property. When it comes to personal property, we actually do a seizure and auction, which luckily in Archuleta County, we have not had to do in a very long time. Our businesses are very good about paying their taxes. So that's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo, but what is it actually? So owning a tax lien is not the same as owning property. If you purchase a tax lien, you are getting just that. It's a lien against the property. The lien will accrue interest, simple interest, at the rate of 9% per year. That rate is set by the state. So entire state of Colorado is earning 9% this year. It's not the highest it's ever been. It's not the lowest it's ever been. I always kind of compare it to what is my savings account giving me? My savings account is not paying 9%. If the property owners are to pay their taxes, then the county is going to send you a check for the delinquent taxes and the accrued interest. We also send you a redemption certificate showing you that the lien has been paid in full. So a big question we get is, that's great. I like a lien. I like to earn interest, but how do I get property? So if the property owner does not pay their taxes within 3 years, then a lien holder has the right to file for a treasurer's deed. The treasurer's deed is the actual item that will convey ownership of the property to the investor. So once that lien is 3 years of age, an investor can start the treasurer's deed process. And we're just going to talk about that a little bit. So number one, if you purchased a tax lien in November of this year, what year could you apply for a treasurer's deed? You can either say it out loud or type it in the comments for us.
Make sure that you unmute yourself if you do want to make a comment, please, because most of you are muted. Thank you.
So we know we have to wait 3 years. So if you win a tax lien this November, what year could you apply for a deed?
Okay, Beverly said 2015.
2015?
Yeah, that's what she put on here, so.
So Beverly, not quite. So 2015. So we're in 2020. So we just do 1, 2, 3. So 2023 would be the magic year. So if you purchased a tax lien this November, you could apply for a deed in 2023. I almost said 2003. So 2023 would be the year. And that seems like a long way off, but it really isn't. Sadly, it'll be here before we know it. So the actual process takes about 6 months. And what it means is we cannot go to deed before November of 2023. So we'll actually start that process sooner. We usually start accepting treasurer's deed applications about August, September timeframe. And that way we can start working on them and get them processed and finalized. Some costs to keep in mind is, yes, you have the tax lien that you're going to pay this year and most likely for the next 3 years. But you also, to go to deed, are going to plan on an $1,100 deposit. The $1,100 deposit starts the process, and that covers posting in the newspaper, posting the process, start again with English, posting the physical property, making sure we have all of our certified mailings and following the laws to make sure it's done properly. $1,100 usually covers everything. Every now and then there can be a long legal description, and then we would ask you to pay more to cover those costs. The good news is if a property owner comes in partway through this and pays it back, they pay back the $1,100 as well. So you don't lose any money if somebody were to come in and pay it off. So property owners, let's say the deed gets issued, property owners may still have rights even after the treasurer's deed is issued. A regular owner has up to 7 years and a veteran has 9 years. This becomes important because once you've got ownership, maybe you start building, you do repairs on a home, you want to take into account you could still be taken to court and the property owner take possession. And so something that a lot of our investors do is once they're issued a treasurer's deed, they file for something called quiet title. Quiet title is going to court and doing exactly what it says, quieting anybody else's claims to the property. It's not something that the treasurer's office is involved in. Most people hire an attorney and take that extra step. But when we go to deed, we do a lot of the pre-work that your attorney is going to do, and we're more than willing to share that with you, and that helps maybe lessen the cost a little bit. All right, this is a question we get quite a bit. Can I pay anyone's taxes and place a lien? My neighbor has a really nice piece of property and I want it. Can I just pay his taxes? What does everybody think? Type it in the comments, yes or no.
Chris said no.
That is absolutely correct. And we like to stress this because there has been more than one person who, I'm assuming some drinking was involved, late at night goes on and starts paying taxes, contacts us the next day and says, hey, how do I get my lien information? And we have to break the news. There is no lien. You have done a good deed. We tell them to enjoy the karma because we do not issue refunds. So don't just pay your neighbor's taxes. Make sure you do it through a county held tax lien sale so that everything is legal and binding. There's a lot of steps we take to make sure that it is done correctly. All right. So any questions between a tax lien and a treasurer's deed, before we jump into the rules of the auction. You can unmute and ask, or you can ping a question if you're shy. Okay. All right, we'll keep moving then. So these bidding rules I pulled straight from the Real Auction website, and I'll show you where they are, but I just want to talk about some of them. The first thing is the website opened today. So once we're done with this informational session, you can jump to the website and do some exploring and see everything that we've done. It says the closing hour of each batch on the last day of the tax lien sale. So when we sell properties, we're going to do it in batches. So the first batch will start at 8 a.m. and it'll go from 8 to 9, and that'll have 100 properties. And then the second batch will go from 9 to 10, and maybe that'll have 100 properties, and so on and so forth. So it's important to know where your property falls in the batch so that you know when to expect emails and things like that. But it's also important because let's say you were looking at a property in batch 1, but you didn't win. You could then turn around and change your bidding and go into batch 2 and make adjustments. So you can actually go in until that batch opens, and it says close, and I like to stress that. Until that batch opens, you can actually go and modify your bids and make changes as needed. But once the batch opens, it kind of seals the deal. Your bid is binding. The next thing that's very important, and a reason that some people may not win a property, is we do require a 10% deposit of your total intended winnings to be made for your bid to count. You can come in and add deposits up to the beginning of your batch. We've had people come in the middle of the day on auction day and say, here's more of a deposit. I need to go after another property, and we're more than happy to add it for you. When it comes to the deposit, if for some reason you don't win a property, you get your deposit back. We don't keep it. It does take us about 10 days because we have to balance the auction and make sure everything is binding and all the deposits have cleared. And then at that point, we will go ahead and issue. We do take deposits, either ACH, which is online from the website. You just plug in your banking information and send the money right over. Some people prefer cash, so you're more than welcome to come into the office and pay with a check or cash, and we'll take that. When it comes to refunds, if you do it by ACH, then we will refund by ACH. If it was done over cash or check, then we'll refund as a mailed check.
Okay, just real quick, Chris asked, how much does it cost for quiet title?
That's a great question for your attorney. Because the treasurer's office doesn't actually get involved in quiet title, I don't think I could accurately quote that. I do know that we've done a lot of the research that we share with you that can help soften that cost. Another piece of advice I'll give is, if you're going to be doing a lot of this, then it's a good idea to get an attorney and pay a lot of attention the first time, and then maybe do it yourself, after you've gone through 1 or 2. If you're only doing 1 or 2 properties, then it's definitely worth getting the expert advice of attorney to make sure it's done properly. So it may not be the answer you're looking for, but I hope it helps a little bit. All right. Each buyer is required to register to participate. And it's important that when you register, you put your information in correctly, because 1, the IRS cares, and then 2, it's how your tax lien is going to be issued. So if I just go in and put Bob Smith, when I go to get my tax lien, it's now issued in Bob Smith, and I'm not Bob Smith. So it's very important to put accurate information in there for us. All right. So premiums. Premiums are a big part of how bidding works. Before I jump to that, we're going to talk about who can and cannot bid. If you are an employee of Archuleta County, if you're a member of their immediate family or an agent, you are not allowed to bid in an Archuleta County tax lien. There's just a conflict of interest there. It's not fair for the county to hold these auctions and then bid themselves. So the next thing is premiums. Premiums are what you're willing to pay, excuse me. Premiums are what you're willing to pay above and beyond the delinquent taxes. It's important to remember that premiums are never returned and they do not draw interest. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more in depth in a moment. The minimum starting bid on a tax lien is going to be the amount of unpaid taxes, interest, penalties, and fees. So when we look at the website, it's going to show the minimum bid. And we do have people that don't bid above and beyond that. I have a gentleman, and I call him my cleanup guy, because he goes in and bids on a bunch of properties, but he doesn't bid any premiums. So if there's an unsold property, he knows he's going to get it. If you want to put a little bit more into it and kind of ensure you're getting the property, that's when premiums come into play. You put in your maximum premium, and then we're going to take what's needed to win, and we're going to do that in $1 increments. Premiums on winning bids are the cost of securing the tax lien. They are not returned. We like to stress that. They do not earn interest. So the premium is what you're willing to pay above and beyond the delinquent taxes to win the bid. How much of a premium can I bid is a very common question. And we cap it at 35%. So let's talk about an example that kind of helps this make a little bit more sense. Bob wants to bid on property A. He lives next door and would love to expand his property line. He's been looking at putting in a pool. The delinquent taxes on property A are $300. Bob wants to enter the highest premium possible. So this is where we're going to do math. What is Bob's highest bid? You can say it out loud or you can type it in the comments, either one.
Chris said 405.
405. That would be correct, because 300 for the initial taxes, and then 405 for his premium, 35%. Good job. So we're going to continue this example. Shelley is a shrewd investor, and she thinks property A would be a good tax lien. She can earn some interest and maybe end up with a property in 3 years that she can resell at a nice profit. Shelley is a little bit more conservative with her bidding and enters a premium of $36, 12%. So if Bob and Shelley are the only bidders, who's going to win the bid? You can say it out loud or you can type it, either one.
You're awful quiet.
I hear crickets.
Bob, Laura said.
Woohoo, Laura, you are correct. Bob is our winner. But how much of a premium is Bob going to pay? So remember, he put in a premium of 105. How much will his premium actually be?
Bob said 37. Andrea said 105.
Oh, the 37 is correct. So remember, we're only going to take what's needed to win. So whereas Bob is willing to go to $105, we're actually only going to take 37 because that's all that's needed to win the bid. I will stress, be willing to pay what you put in as a premium, because every now and then we have two people that really want the same property and they put in the maximum premium. So in a situation like that, let's say Bob and Shelley both put in $105. The computer actually has an algorithm that will randomly award it to one or the other, but it's going to take the entire $105 when it does. So if you put it in, be willing to spend it. But the good news is if we don't need to, we're not going to take it. So Bob has won this. He's paid his premium. He paid the delinquent taxes. He's pretty excited. But property owner A comes in to pay the lien after the tax lien sale has been balanced. How much money is Bob going to earn on this tax lien? So we're going to do 300, right? He gets the taxes back, and you're guaranteed 1 month's worth of interest, which at this year is 9%. So he's going to get $2.25. So we're cutting a check to Bob for $302.25. Did Bob earn or lose money on this investment?
Laura said lost.
That is absolutely correct. Because remember, he did that $37 premium. So premiums are not earning interest. They are not reimbursed. The good news is most of our people do not come back that first month and pay their taxes. There's one or two, but most people are going to sit on that tax lien for a while to come up with the money. So it could be 6 months, it could be a year. We've got people that come in and pay after 3 years. I don't even think we really have an average. Everybody's different. But to come in the next day is not that common. So you are going to get a couple, I can't guarantee that, but most investors will get a couple months of interest at a minimum. And a lot of them end up getting a year, 2 or 3 years. Or if nobody comes in to pay, then you end up getting a property. All right. So let's talk about, before I move into the terms, any questions on premiums or how that works? I know that was a lot of math and a lot of information.
Does the successful bidder receive the tax bill each year and is expected to then pay the tax bill?
That's an excellent question. So you're not actually going to receive a tax bill. The tax bill is still going to go to the property owner, and they have from January to July to pay that tax bill before you can step in. And what's going to happen is on August 1st, we're going to send out something called an endorsement list. And that is all of your tax liens that are eligible to be endorsed or paid. And so at that point, investors write us a check for the amount of the taxes. We go ahead and apply it, and we're going to roll next year's taxes into your existing lien, and it will start accruing interest at the 9%. So where you don't get the actual bill, we do send you if somebody hasn't paid, and the tax lien holder has the first right to pay. If you said, I'm not gonna, then at that point, it would go back up for tax lien sale.
But you don't get the interest that you have paid, that you're due on the lien until the property settles.
That is correct. And I'm gonna kind of veer away from the slides for a second. It's important to remember we recommend endorsing. And the reason behind this is we have what's called senior lien holders and junior lien holders. A senior lien holder is the first person to buy a tax lien. So let's say I buy a tax lien this year. I'm the senior lien. There's nobody else that owns a tax lien on it. I'm the first one. So I'm the senior lien holder. But next year, when I get my endorsement letter, maybe I lose it in the mail, I don't pay attention, or I've just decided not to endorse. For some reason, I don't pay the taxes. And next year it goes up for tax lien sale. Now Elsa says, oh, I'm going to buy that tax lien. So she's now a junior lien holder. She owns the 2000, I own the 2019 lien. She owns the 2020 lien. I think I said that wrong. I own the 2020 lien. She owns the 2021. Sorry. So at this point, I'm the senior, she's the junior. So now in 2022, that endorsement list is going to go to both of us. So the first person to pay will be the person who endorses the lien. So we actually have investors lining up on August 1st to come in and pay their tax liens, to pay their endorsements. So if I don't endorse and Elsa does, or even if I do endorse, Elsa still has a tax lien. She's junior to me. At the end of 3 years, if I don't take any action, so now we're going to go 1 more year. Elsa's lien is now 3 years old, right? My lien is 4, Elsa's is 3. Elsa's eligible to go to deed. Elsa comes into the office, puts down the 1100, fills in the application. We start the process. Part of that process is to notify a senior lien holder. I can either A, buy out Elsa and go to deed myself, or B, do nothing, but I do not get reimbursed. I'm going to lose my money when Elsa's deed is issued. So senior lien holder, if I don't take action, I will lose that money. I'm going to flip it around a little bit. Let's say my lien hits 3 years of age. I decide to go to deed. Now I have to buy out my junior lien holder. So part of the deed process, not only am I going to pay the $1,100 deposit, now I've got to pay out Elsa's lien plus her accrued interest. So it can get a little confusing. It can also get a little expensive. The easiest thing to do is endorse every year unless you're just no longer interested in a property. Did that clarify, or did I cause a lot more questions? I'll give you time to ask questions if you need to.
That's a great job.
Woohoo! All right, so let's keep going then. These have been great questions, so thank you. It is the buyer's responsibility to know the quality of the property. This becomes important. Let's say you see a property online and you're like, yeah, that's the one for me. So you bid on it, you wait 3 years, you go to deed, you win the property, you're the owner, and then you find out it's the site of a toxic waste dump. Guess who now is responsible for a toxic waste dump? You are. We don't have a lot of toxic waste dumps in Archuleta County, but we do have a lot of mountains. And sometimes a parcel of land that goes up for sale might be the side of a mountain. And so somebody buys the tax lien, and when it's time to go to deed, they finally drive by and say, oh, I can't build on the side of a mountain. That's not going to do me any good. We actually had a parcel at one point in time that was smack dab in the middle of nowhere. The only access would be if you owned a helicopter. So it's very important before you put all this money and time into it, know what you're buying. And when we go to the website, I'm going to show you some ways to look into it, but it is your responsibility to know the property and to know what you're getting into. At the end of the auction, all bids are final, no changes, no cancellations, and no refunds. So we like to stress that. Unless there's an erroneous lien, which is very rare, then we don't give you your money back.
Okay, Laura wants to know, if there is an existing mortgage after gaining quiet title, what happens to the mortgage?
That's a great question. Most mortgage companies are on top of it and will actually end up paying the taxes to avoid it either going to sale or B, going to deed. But every now and then, large mortgage companies, they lose papers all the time. So in most situations, a treasurer's deed will trump all other liens. So you can see water bills, homeowners associations, the treasurer's deed will trump it, meaning those liens go away. We always recommend that you talk to an attorney to confirm the type of lien on the property and if the treasurer's deed will wipe it out or not. We are never going to give legal advice. One lien to look out for is an IRS tax lien, because yes, it can be removed, but it is going to be a lot of work on your part and a lot of paperwork and time and energy. The treasurer's office does not get involved with a federal IRS tax lien. It's too much fun for us. I say that with sarcasm. So just do your research. You can go into the clerk's office and you can pull a property and see the history of the property and see if there's any recorded liens that might be of interest to you. All right, that's a great question. So we talked about interest. We know that we're earning 9% this year. If there is an erroneous lien, that would be 8%. And then we know that we're buying or bidding on just a tax lien, not the property itself. So subsequent taxes we kind of talked about. This is the endorsement. So if the property owner does not pay before July 1st, we actually give them up to the end of July, then on August 1st, you have the right to come in and endorse. We'll send you a letter letting you know. A lot of our investors put August 1st on the calendar because they want to endorse as soon as possible, because it rolls it into the lien and starts accruing interest. Any questions before I move into the navigation of the website?
Yes, I have a question. This is Greg Brook.
Thank you, Greg. Go ahead.
I think on one of your earlier slides, again, what I would call a pink elephant in the room is there was a comment about the property owner has rights for 7 years and a veteran has rights for 9 years. Can
Yes.
you explain what, I mean, I'm following you. I understand everything to this point. And hopefully if the thing burns off for 3 years, you title transfers, but can you explain your slide comment?
Yes. So what happens is when you get a treasurer's deed, what they're going to do is call it a clouded title. And what that means is if you were to sell the property to somebody who needed a mortgage, it would be declined, because a treasurer's deed transfers ownership, but it's known that the previous owner still has rights. The previous owner could take you to court and show that they are willing to pay the delinquent taxes plus any improvements, and you would actually lose the property to the previous owner. The most common way around that is quiet title. And if you take the steps of going to quiet title, now you have cleared your title and you no longer have a cloud, meaning if you needed to get a mortgage on the property, you could do so. That's kind of the easiest way to explain it. Does that help?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's an important piece to know. A lot of people don't realize that previous owners still have rights.
We have a question here,
Perfect. Go ahead.
Stephen.
If a property has variances of various sorts that have been grandfathered in, if ownership changes as a result of this tax lien process, do those grandfathered variances stay in effect, or do I become subject to all current regulations?
My understanding is they would stay in effect. So I am not an attorney and I am not giving legal advice, but in general, yes, they would stay because they transfer with the property and that property is transferring to you.
Very good, thank you.
When there are things like easements and things like that, you always want to look at, is it a recorded easement or is it just something I've let my neighbor use part of my driveway?
Oh, right, yes.
Because if it's never been recorded, I may have liked my neighbor, but I don't like you. So now I can revoke that permission at any time. So there's a difference between I let you do it and I've recorded it to make it legal.
Right.
Okay, so I just like to stress that because some people are like, yeah, they let him drive all the time. But if it's never been recorded, I can revoke that. I know there's a certain amount of time and I don't know off the top of my head what it is. If you can prove it's been in use for X amount of years, I believe you have legal rights, but you're going to go to court to prove those rights, and that can get expensive.
Very good.
I have
All
a
right, good
question.
question.
So if we're to do our due diligence in inspecting the property, do we have, I wouldn't say a right, but do we have any, well, I guess, rights to talk to the people that live in the house at the time? See, I didn't think so. How
So
do
the
you
way this
know
works
how
is
what
you
the
can
inside
drive
of the house is happening?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I cut you off. I
Oh,
apologize.
I interrupted you as well. How do you know what is going on with that house? So you know if, you know, there's something, the plumbing's wrong or something's really wrong. I mean, how do you know these things?
You won't. Yeah.
You
So
just
the
don't?
joy of any type of foreclosure process is that you will not know what's happening inside the home. So legally, you can drive by the property. You cannot step onto the property.
Okay.
You do not want to make contact with somebody, be like, hey, I see you haven't paid your taxes. I'm going to be bidding. So tell me about your plumbing. It's a good way for somebody to pull a gun. So legally, don't make contact with the owner. You're more than welcome to drive by and take a look at the outside of the property, but you are not supposed to actually go onto the property itself.
Can you, wait, my question, can you, if you knew a realtor that, let's say they were thinking of selling the house and they disclose to the realtor all these things that are going on with the house. Can I talk to the realtor that may have possibly put this up on for sale through a realtor?
So instead of could it be up for sale, I'm going to clarify and say the property owner has put it up for sale. So if it is publicly listed, then absolutely, you don't even have to say you're the lien holder. You can contact a realtor and say, I'm interested in this property. Can I do a walkthrough? Tell me what you know. And then at that point, you're just not going to put an offer in. You're going to hope nobody buys it before you go to deed.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Good questions. Anything else before we jump to the website?
Well, I do have one. I really didn't catch how you computed the math. That kind of went by me pretty fast. I didn't have my calculator here, so I couldn't kind of go along and figure it out. Is there some way I can come in and talk to you and you can just show me how to do that? Or
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about it a little bit more when we get to the website, because I'm going to show you some great tools that Real Auction has put together that make it a little bit easier.
okay,
The big number you want to remember is we cap at 35%.
okay,
So I've had people call me up and they're like, I'm putting my premium in and it won't take it and it won't take it. And then I ask the question, well, how much is the premium? Well, I'm putting in $2,000. Well, no way. That's, unless that property is really expensive, 2,000 is too much. So it's very important you know what your cap is, as long as you remember 35% and you're under it.
okay.
Good. And we'll, again, like I said, when we get to the website, I'll talk a little bit more as we're putting numbers in.
One more question, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I'm pursuing the tax lien process, what is there any kind of access that I have to documents that have been filed by the property owner with various state and county agencies, namely like building permits or other documents, permits for well drilling, so I could see who the well contractor was, documents like that that are available to me?
So I don't know about building. I know anything that has been recorded has become public record. So you can come into the clerk's office and see any type of liens, transfer of ownership history. I know that's all recorded. I don't know if well permits are recorded. I think that's just in the building office. And I
Septic
can't
permits?
speak to if that's public record or not. Could you write that one down for us, Elsa?
Also like septic permits and other things like that. So I can
Right.
see if those things have been done, those are that much less potential problems with the place. That would be valuable information.
Absolutely. So I'm going to check with our building department to find out if building permits and things like that are public record.
Very
If they
good.
are, you could definitely reach out to the building department. I have not gone that route, but that's actually a good idea. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions for us before we move on?
Do you want to unmute?
Yeah, I will in a minute. I'm sorry. Did we go over if there's still a mortgage on the house and they're going to
We
foreclose?
did.
Okay.
So in most cases, a tax lien, or I'm sorry, a treasurer's deed will trump outstanding other liens, but it's always important to check with your attorney to make sure. So in most cases, a mortgage would just go away. They wouldn't have any more rights to that property because they did not take action.
Okay,
It's
great.
rare to get a property with a mortgage in a tax lien sale, just because mortgage companies monitor and they pay taxes even if the homeowner's not paying them. It does happen.
I see
Large
now.
mortgage companies have been known to lose paperwork. So I'm not saying it won't happen, but it is a rarity for a mortgaged property to go all the way to deed.
Okay, I get that now. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the website. And give me 1 second to switch over for us. Nope, wrong button. Who's that smiling face? All right, so this is it is https:// I was doing www and it was giving me that error message. So if you do the https, you know you're on the secure website, because a lot of times you are going to be spending money and you want that to be safe and secure. So archuleta.coloradotaxsale.com. When you first come in, you can actually preview items before you ever register. If you preview and don't find something that interests you, you don't have to worry about registering. If you know you're bidding, jump in and start your registration process. If you have questions about how to register, I am going to ask you to contact Real Auction because they will walk you through that process. They have a great help team that is ready to go. So I'm going to jump into preview items, and you're just going to see this large list, and it's got the account number of the property, it's got what the base tax is, and the status. As we go through, you're going to see some that say unavailable. This means that the homeowner has come in and actually paid the taxes, and so we've pulled it from the auction. The homeowner has between now and November 3rd to make payments and bring it current. So as you're going through, if you submit a bid and somebody were to come in and pay it, I believe Real Auction will send you an email letting you know, but it's a good idea to monitor the website and just make sure your bids are staying current. So you can see how much, if the property is still active, and we're going to click on this link a little bit later, but this is a great link that Real Auction has set up with the assessor's office to find out more details. So you can go through, do your research, find out what you're looking for. We've got over 395 records right now of properties to search and look. So that is our preview. The bidding rules are what we talked about already, and it's going to go through. If you have questions, if you want to look at it again, I know I go kind of quick. You can come back at a leisurely process and look at all that information we covered. General information. I want this one. There we go. So Real Auction does training classes. They go once per week. You do have to contact Real Auction to be able to participate. And I've got a list of dates for you that I'm going to show at the very end. But this is where you would go to get the information. You give them a call, they get you registered. They do a really good navigation and training. It's a great class to attend. If you have questions about the tax certificate process, how everything works, it's all right there for you. I'm going to actually sign in because I want you to see what you're going to see once you're registered. And I remembered my password. Woohoo! All right, so this likes to remind me of anything that may have changed between last year and this year. And something that we started last year and we're going to do again this year is any unsold properties, we're going to do what's called a last chance batch. So in batch one, if we had 2 properties that didn't sell, we're going to move them to the last batch of the day, and you can go in and pick them up. Maybe change how much you want to put as a premium, you know, maybe adjust your bidding style and try again. We do prohibit non-US bidders, so I think we're all good at this point. And then just a reminder, if you have previously registered, make sure your IRS W-9 is up to date. So this is the home screen. It defaults to the summary, and this is fantastic when you start placing bids because you can see at a quick glance, my bids, how many have you done? What is the total face value of those bids? How much of a premium have you done? What is your total going to be? So now you know your total, you know how much of a deposit you need to make. If you remember, we want 10% of your total. So I would take this number right here and then multiply that by 10%, and I know that's my minimum deposit. Some of our investors will deposit more just in case they change their mind last minute and want to make changes or bid on other properties. Anything that you bid as a deposit, if you win and you haven't used your entire deposit, it'll just go towards what you owe on the balance. If for some reason you don't win any properties, we are going to refund your deposit back to you. The next thing is the day of the auction, you'll be able to see how many certificates you've won so far, what is the amount that you're going to have to pay, and then you'll also be able to see what's your balance, how much do you owe us, and then how much of your deposit have you used up? How much can you still win? All right, so that's a great screen just as like a snapshot of where you're at in the process. So I like going into place bids. When you click on place bids, you can see that we have 6 batches. Our first batch is going to open up at 8 o'clock. And to see the properties in the first batch, I just click on that 01 and it brings us to this page, which is similar to the overview, but it has a few more spots. So the first one is the face amount. We know that this property right here, the minimum bid is $6,573.70. And I can just hit bid, and at that point, there's no premium. I will have bid $6,573.70 with no premium on the property. Elsa comes in and she bids, but she's interested in that property, so she wants a $20 premium. So she puts in $20 and hits bid, and this is where, because I'm county, I can't. It gives me no. But in the real world, it would move it over here and you would see face amount, premium, and it would add them together to give you your total investment. I just want to make sure everybody knows when you're entering a bid, all you're entering is the premium amount. We have some people that try to add it up and enter it in, and then it takes us over that 35% and it blocks your bid. So all I'm going to enter and enter bid is the premium. We feel comfortable with that? I'll take silence as yes. So it's easy for me to say, yeah, I've got an extra $6,000 burning a hole in my pocket. Let me bid on this property. But we don't really know anything about this property, do we? So the nice thing is if you click on that account number, it gives you the warning that you're leaving real auction, but it's actually going to pull up the county assessor's webpage. So at this point, I'm taken to the assessor's site. You have to click on the account number for the account to load. Once you've clicked on the account number, you can come down, you see the owner's address, you can see a history of the sale of the property, you can see the valuation, and this actually is a hotel. So you can go through and look and see the different descriptions. The big one that's important for me, I'm a very visual person, is we have this wonderful thing called a GIS map. So if you click on this link, and give it a moment to load. Accept the terms, and there we go. I can now see that of this motel, it's actually split into 3 parcels, and they have not paid on the 3rd parcel. So you could actually come in and bid. If they did not pay it back in 3 years' time, you could go to deed and own a 1/3 of a hotel, which means you could try to sell it back to this guy at quite the profit. That's just my thought.
Andrea has a question. It says, how long are the taxes delinquent before they go to lien sale?
That's a great question. We look at January, the tax bill is issued. Your pay in full is by April 30th, or you can split it up. You're considered delinquent on July 1st. We hold our tax lien sale on the 1st Thursday in November. So they are considered a year old because we're looking at last year's taxes, but it is the tax bill you got this year in January. Does that answer for you?
Yes, thanks.
Perfect. So let's go back. So this shows us the property. I love the mapping because now you can see is, you know, am I looking at the side of a mountain? Am I looking at a property that is important to me? Where is it located in regards to town? Maybe I want to be out of town. So that's a great way to kind of look at it. Another thing that you can do, you don't necessarily want to go one by one. I mean, maybe you do. Some people are very interested, but that's over 300 properties that you're going to be looking at. Maybe there's requirements or things that you want to see in a property. And so there's a great thing up here. Do you see where it says export data? I prefer Excel, so I'm just going to click on that, and it's going to queue it for processing. And this can take, I do recommend people be patient because it can take a minute to do. Luckily, I've done this before, so I'm going to go to one I've already ran before. And then I want to, give me 1 second because I have to be able to open it. How I opened it. It always tries to go to numbers, so I apologize for the delay. Give me 1 second, okay? I love Apple most of the time. Open with Excel. There we go. Sorry about that delay. So we've got this. It downloads everything into Excel for us. And so this is every property in the first batch. And I'm going to come up here to my sort and filter. I'm going to highlight first, sorry. Highlight all of your columns. And then I'm going to go to my sort and filter. And we're going to do a custom sort. And what I'm going to do, I want to make sure my list has headers is very important. And I'm going to sort by, to me, I want a house that has a couple bedrooms. So I'm going to select bedrooms. And I'm going to select largest to smallest. And then, there we go, hit OK. So now it's reorganized all that information, and I can come over here to beds, and I can see any property that has 4 bedrooms or more. So I'm going to say, oh, this one looks interesting. If I come over here, I can record this add number. That's the number sequence it is. So if I go back, give me a second, and I look for number 20, that's the property that has the 4 bedrooms and that I was interested in. And you can add more filters and say, okay, I want 4 bedrooms, but I want a lot of land. So you could sort by bedrooms, and then you could sort by acreage. So there's a lot of ways you can do that and kind of see, you know, filter your results so you're not having to look at every property individually. There's a lot of information in that download. So I can come here. It's going to take me to the assessor side again. I click on the account to load it. And I'm just going to jump straight to the map because I'm visual. All right. Just something to keep in mind, the map and the roads are off by a little bit. So I can see this curve actually follows this road. So I can look at this, I can zoom out a little bit and find out exactly where it is. Here's Highway 84, here's the property. I know it's Whispering Wood, so I have an idea of where this property is located. It's nice and out of town. It's got 4 bedrooms. It sounds good. I'm gonna go ahead and make a bid. So I can come back here and I can decide how involved I want to be with this property. Is it strictly an investment? I'm probably a little bit more conservative because I'm interested in interest, or maybe maybe getting that property at the end. So my bid might be a little more conservative. If this was my next door neighbor and I'm trying to expand my property line, we refer to that as emotional bidding. You're not necessarily looking at it as an investment, but as a way to get property if things go according to plan at the end of 3 years. So you have to come up with your bidding strategy. And then at that point, you're going to put in just your premium. I'm going to be conservative and say $25. And then I would hit bid. I'm going to go back to my home. If I was actually allowed to bid, I would see this change to a 1. I would see my face value, my premium, and my total. And at this point, I know I need 10%. I would just come over here, make a deposit, and I would set up my deposit. A lot of our investors will do multiple properties. So you can go in and put your bids on as many as you would like to, and you can go back and forth, do your research, find out what works for you, and make your changes. Nothing is finalized until it is the day of the auction. So I'm going to pause. We do have the advanced quick search, which does kind of what Excel does, but you don't get as much information, which is why I prefer the Excel. But you could come in and search anything that has more than 2 bedrooms and get those results. So you can do it through export data. I'm going to go back to home. You can do it through quick search. So that is a very quick look at the website. I highly recommend that when we're done, you come back, you can sign up for a real auction and they will get even deeper into the website than I do, or just come and play on your own. It's very hard to break their website. And they have a wonderful customer service team that if you were to get stuck navigation-wise, then Real Auction will help you. If you have questions about the property or the process, reach out to the treasurer's office because we want to help you with those questions. If it's navigation, reach out to Real Auction. All right. So I'm going to pause the website. Well, let me ask for questions on the website first.
Can you please ask Steve to send his email? Or we already have it in the office?
If you can resend, if you're looking for a copy of the deck, please resend your email in a private chat to Elsa. And that way we just have a list of everybody that attended that is interested in getting the deck. Please. Okay, any others?
No.
All right, so I'm gonna go back. So bidding is pretty easy. I go in and I put like 3 or 4 different filters on that Excel spreadsheet and I'm like, okay, lots of bedrooms, lots of bathrooms, and lots of acreage. That's the properties I'm interested in. So we want to go to here. Okay. So you've gone on after we've done this class, you've experimented, you've looked, you're feeling comfortable, you've placed your bids, and now it is the day of the auction. So just in case anybody doesn't know, our auction is always going to be the first Thursday in November, which this year is November 5th. So the day of the auction, each batch opens on the hour, and it's actually gonna, I know it says it stays open for an hour, it's gonna close within 15 minutes. Because everything is automated, as soon as it opens, it's locked, you cannot make changes, and so we'll know who the winners are and you'll start receiving an email. If you did not win, you still have time to go and change or add to your bids on other batches, but you cannot make any changes to a batch that has already closed. super important. I bring it up because it's happened in the past. If you did not make your 10% deposit, your bid will not count. We've had people call up before and say, I bid more, why didn't I get it? And I look and say, no deposit was made. The final batch of the day, as we mentioned, will be any unsold properties. We're gonna kind of scoop them up and put them into one final batch. So you'll be able to view that towards the end of the day and see if there's something that you're interested in bidding on. So you're a winner, now what? When the final batch is closed and you've won a few tax liens, it's important to make sure you pay the balance due. On the day of the auction, the deposit link, it'll continue to say deposit for that day, but you can make a payment. It all goes to the same place. The next day, that deposit link is going to change and say payment link. And again, the money is the exact same to us. If you have a balance due, unused deposit just rolls into your payment. If you have overpaid, then we'll just refund back. You also have the option of coming into the treasurer's office and making a payment over the counter. It is very important that you have paid in full by the end of the next business day. So the auction is on Thursday. By 4 p.m. Friday, you have to have settled the balance. And the reason behind that is if it's not settled, then we're going to reach out to the second person in line and offer them the property. Failure to pay can result in being banned from our future auctions. It's not something that we want to do, but we can't have somebody saying, yeah, here's, a $200 premium and now I can't pay. It's very important that you're only bidding what you're willing to pay and that you can settle up by 4 p.m. the next day. I don't mean that to sound harsh, but it's an important part of the process. And another thing I bring up is we do not take credit cards. It has to be either an ACH, meaning a deposit from your bank to our bank, or it has to be cash or a check. All right. Any questions on the day of the auction before I move into not winning? Or what questions do you have? Going once, going twice, moving on. So if you did not win a tax lien, so it's frustrating because you thought, hey, I had a good process, but for some reason, maybe the premium wasn't high enough or you only bid on 1 or 2 properties and it didn't pan out. If there's any unsold property taxes after we've done that last batch, they become county held liens. And what's going to happen is I'm going to post a date on the website, and after I've balanced the tax lien sale, we're going to list those county held liens for sale and you can come in and purchase them. The cost is going to be the amount of the delinquent taxes plus a $4 fee to transfer it from the county's name into your name. We will also issue we will also issue a refund for any unused deposits. It takes us about 10 days to do so. Additional training from Real Auction. I mentioned this. These are the dates. They have one tomorrow, the 7th, 13th, 19th, and 29th. If you call that phone number or send an email to the customer service at realauction.com, they will get you registered. Even though our training is great, I highly recommend Real Auction. They're great at navigating the website and helping you through, I don't want to say sticky because it's a pretty good website, but just making sure everything runs smoothly and you know what to expect the day of. And swag. We have towels, hats, travel blankets, all provided by Real Auction. The travel blankets are pretty sweet, I will tell you that. The towels are nice. I may have 1 or 2 from a conference. And the hats, they keep the sun off your head. So if you are interested, stop by the treasurer's office. We'll let you pick through the box and grab what you want. If you are not local, you'd have to send us a prepaid shipping label because we can't pay to ship goodies to anybody. But you know, cute, fun stuff. So feel free to stop by the treasurer's office, say hi, and pick up some fun stuff to take home with you. So at this point, I'm going to say the only dumb question is the one that you don't ask us. We're here. We're willing to talk. So what questions do you have? We are ready and willing. Not all at once. All right. I either did a great job or a horrible job. We'll see.
Well, Laura said thank you. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you. We really appreciate you guys attending. We love being able to reach out to the community and help educate. I will say if there's anything that you want to know more about, reach out to the treasurer's office. And if it's something we can put together a training for our next year's educational session. If you have questions about the tax lien sale, please reach out to us. I didn't put it on the slide, but my phone number is 970-264-8328, and I'm happy to answer questions. I would recommend calling on Monday, as that'll probably be when I'm able to respond and answer to everybody. So starting Monday, 970-264-8328. And if there's no other questions, we're going to say thanks again for attending. We really appreciate it. We hope you've learned something, and we're going to say good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Goodbye.
Good night. Thank you.